greatest symbol of excellence in sports entertainment.
We are broadcasting from the Blue Chew Studios. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code ARN at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. Hello and welcome to ARN. This is Paul Bromwell, and today I'm joined by the Hall of Famer, the founder of the Four Horsemen, creator of the Spine Buster. He is one of the greatest tag team wrestlers of all time, and in October of 1990, the man who, along with the Nature Boy Ric Flair, had a death wish and no Charles Bronson for backup. Ladies and gentlemen, he's the enforcer. He's Double A. He's Arn Anderson. Arn, how are you this week?
I'm a little frightened with that setup. Death wish, wow.
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear what that was. I'm doing great. Brock and I had a very full weekend and got to do a lot of nice things, so it was great. We had a very good but busy weekend.
I was going to say, we got to see a lot of great pictures on social media of your and Brock's appearances this past weekend in Indianapolis. And I know you were doing some driving to Dayton and then back. That all went smooth and everything?
Yeah, the thing about it is, as people came through that Comic-Con, the fanboy that we were signing at, it was predicted to be cold all week. I'm a stickler for the Weather Channel. I think they have pretty good credibility. Nowhere did it say snow. Nowhere and any time. And we kind of woke up to 3 inches of snow. And I think it took the people there in Indy by surprise too, And I think that affected a few people not being able to come out. And I apologize for that. I'm sorry if we missed anybody. But what can you do about the weather? But for the people that did battle it and come down there, as usual, we were very grateful and thankful to get to say thank you to you. And for all your, what's the word I'm looking for? Loyalty, I guess, maybe a little strong, but following us and making our show possible. And guys like David J., who stopped by, I told him I was going to give him a plug, with not only one giant candy bar with almonds, Hershey's, but two. Wow. One for the trip home. So that's the kind of fans and family we have, and man, that's what makes this so fun. It's awesome.
Dude, speaking of fans and what kind of fans we have, I would be remiss if I didn't bring it up now since you're talking about chocolate almond, Hershey bars. We got to talk about Big Papa Corn, because you and I both received something in the mail, and that was amazing bags of popcorn from bigpapacorn.com. Arn, what did you and the missus think about that?
Well, she chose the one that she chose, which left me, heaven forbid, I had never had this before, like a partial chocolate, partial popcorn.
They call that Music City Mix.
Wow. Holy smokes. Well, they were gone shortly, I would say within 36 hours. So
yeah,
we loved them. Thank you for who sent those. Don't be afraid to send some more. Actually, become part of the family, man. I got no problem putting you guys over every week, just like my co-host has no problem with Blue Chew.
That's right. But listen, Big Papa Corn, or my buddy Mark Rice, he loves the show, Arn, and he hooked us up. He sent you not only the Music City mix, but the chocolate caramel drizzle. And my one son's not a big popcorn fan. He said, Dad, I'm not a popcorn fan, but I can't put this down. I mean, he was going to town. I think that's the one that your wife probably just indulged in. But you know what he did for us, dude? He said, I tell you what. He said, even though, whatever, I want your fans to be able to enjoy it too. He created a code, ARN, for 10% off to the listeners to use. And you can also send gift cards to family members. BigPapaCorn.com. That's BIGPOPPA corn.com. And then you click that link, Shop Popcorn, and you can be eating all these variety of flavors that Arn and I just got to enjoy last week, and use code ARN for 10% off. How cool is that, man?
Great. They're going to enjoy it. Christmas just around the corner. What a nice thought. I mean, it's a quality product.
Oh, yeah, great gift.
It's awesome.
And listen, man, I can't put him over. He's a huge wrestling fan, huge Arn Anderson fan. And so, Mark, happy to do it for you. And thank you so much for the gift. And as we started the show talking about your appearance there in Indianapolis, we got to talk a little bit about the 10th anniversary of WrestleCade. You and Brock making that big-time appearance from 10 to 3 at the Benton Convention Center in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. It's Horseman country, baby. November 26th. The following day, you drive on over to Raleigh, big-time wrestling, the Dorton Arena. Brock, Jay Lethal, and a mystery partner will main event the card against the best tag team in the world today, FTR, and their partner, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Arn, our research guy, is all in on this, and he said he can't wait to see this one live. He's going to be there. And we still have no idea who the third man is. What a weekend of this Thanksgiving is going to be for the Andersons, brother.
Well, yeah, that promoter is brilliant. That's a big-time wrestling show, correct?
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
And that gentleman puts together some excellent stuff. And the fact that he didn't, I just said, if you're going to keep the audience in the dark about who the third guy is, just keep me in the dark. Because it really don't matter.
That's right.
When we show up, because the Andersons, Brock and myself, mostly Brock, are going to do what we've always done. The Andersons are synonymous with a town like Raleigh. I mean, how many decades have the Andersons been going to Raleigh? And we do the same thing. We're going to get out there, show our ass, cut up, and attack. I can't wait to see what Jay Lethal puts together with the machismo. I can only imagine what the third element may be. And hey, people would say FTR and Ricky Steamboat, why are you guys even going to bother? You're way outmatched. Famous last words.
There you go, and you have no idea who that third man is. And, buddy, we just had Jay Lethal on the Kurt Angle show last week. That guy was full of machismo, charisma. He can wrestle his ass off. The fans in North Carolina are in for a treat. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, Jay is an all-around entertainment package.
Well, he is.
And when you finally get down through all the layers of entertaining, he's an ass kicker. He's very talented.
I can't wait. Can't wait to hear all about it, Arn. So it's a fantastic event. If you can get to it, get to it. This is going to be a big-time event. You want to be a part of it, so check it out. Finally, this past week, the Arn Anderson graphic novel Kickstarter began. Dirk Manny did an amazing job on Tony Schiavone's book, Butts and Seats. And, I mean, I'm telling you, this is going to be I might be a little bit more excited. Don't tell Tony about this one, knowing what Dirk's capable of. Support the Enforcer at arncomic.com. Arn, I know you're pumped about this, brother.
Well, Dirk has really worked his backside off on this thing, and you know, I probably haven't thanked him properly or thanked him enough, along with his company. I'm very appreciative to have this opportunity. He's been nothing but a pro and a gentleman, and much like you have, been very flexible. Because you know, I've been a little busier than normal, and had to switch some things around, and I know it upset you guys' schedule, and you never blinked, any of you. So, Dirk, thank you. Hope this goes well. I hope the fans, you know, that have asked for a book over the last several decades, I guess it would be, at least a couple, you're getting what you asked for in an entertainment form.
Yeah.
So it's not like War and Peace. It's not 500 pages.
That's right. It's a graphic novel form. I can't beat it.
Sit down in one reading, I would think, you know. So enjoy. I hope it meets everybody's expectations. I'm sure it will.
I can't help but laugh to myself because you were talking about my flexibility. So for those watching us on YouTube, yes, I'm doing my best Carlton Banks impression here with the Mr. Rogers sweater vest. You were busting my chops on when we just got on, because this is right after work. My work day, I ran right in. And we're recording the show, but all good, man. You and Brock just had a killer weekend, and so I'm glad that we got to catch up and knock this show out.
Let me thank the folks up at Revolver Pro Wrestling who had us up. Mox, appreciate you taking interest. Thanks to everybody there that was on that card. You know, it was going to be on Fight Television. Thank them as well. So just thanks for having us up. And Brock had a match with one of their young talent who did a very good job, very competitive match. I think it benefited both those guys, and that's the key, getting this young talent some reps. And we're appreciative that they used us. Thank you.
There you go. Thank you. And, man, listen, I'm excited to see what Brock continues to do, and as he grows, not only what he's doing on the independent circuit, but what he does with AEW. And, I mean, my goodness, what better teacher could he have, coach, mentor, than his father, Arn Anderson, man. So it's an exciting ride, and the fact that he gets to do it with you and you get to do it with him, I mean, it doesn't get much better than that if you think about it.
Can't express what that means to me after having missed all that I've missed. And, both of my sons' lives, and as well as my wife's, to be able to, catch this on the backside is a real blessing. You have no idea.
Oh, man, that's special. Well, listen, hey, with all that covered and at the top of the show, now we're going to jump into the reason we're here. Last week, we talked in depth about the interactions you and Rick had with Doom. That's right, Ron Simmons and Butch Reed. All that is going to come to head this month in Chicago at Halloween Havoc. We can't forget that Sid will be wrestling in his first high-profile main event match of his career. But before we jump into Halloween Havoc, let's take a look at how you and the rest of the Horsemen arrived at the UCI Pavilion. And I want to catch everyone up here, because last week we talked about how you and Rick worked together as a tag team partner and taking on Doom. That is, Jim Herd wanted to move past Flair and Sting, and Doom needed new opponents, as they had already wrestled tag teams that included the likes of the Rock and Rolls, the Steiners, the Young Pistols, and others. And you and Rick as a team actually posed a real threat to Simmons and Reed, although we've often questioned the logic of Jim Herd, and with good reason. There's no question that you and Rick were formidable, and more importantly, from a business point of view, you guys were what fans wanted to see, Arn. I mean, our first clip of the week illustrates this point, and we're going to jump right in. It's the October 6th episode of NWA Pro. It's you, it's the Nature Boy, and you wrestled the Rock and Roll Express. We're going to take a look at the closing moments of this match, Arn. Here we go. It's from Worldwide, October 6th, 1990.
Goes right to the head. Morton over the top. Anderson nails him. Morton won't give up. Anderson nails him, but he still takes him over. But he's too close to Flair. Made a tag. Once again, great teamwork on behalf of the Horsemen. And Morton finds himself chopped away again, right to the nose. Elbow right on the chest. The situation between Doom, Ric Flair, and Arn Anderson is red hot, explosive. We are going to take a look at a couple of situations at the end of this match to illustrate what we're talking about. As Flair puts on the tremendous vertical suplex and Morton kicks away. The left hand. Ricky Morton has been in there a long, long time. What endurance he has. Robert Gibson, certainly the fresh man. Anderson's down. Here he takes Flair with the sleeper hold. And Arn with a double axe handle. We got all four men in. Double drop kick. Arn with a kick on the head. And now it's broken down in the ring. Martin throws up Flair. Arn Anderson DDT with a referee not looking.
So Arn, there we go. It's you and Rick defeating the Rock and Roll Express. Shivani on the call there, and he's emphasizing the heated issues between your team and Doom there at the beginning. But one thing I noticed as I watched that clip, and I think about the Rock and Roll Express, I mean, they were red hot in the 80s there with you and Ole, you and Tully. But at this point, it's almost like the company maybe had lost a little bit of faith in them. They're there kind of they're wrestling their asses off with you and Rick, but they're just not the same level that they were. Was it Jim Herd? Was it? I mean, what was your estimation of where rock and roll was at this point in their career here?
Well, I think Jim Herd, looked at them like he did a lot of talent. He had a group of guys that he thought that was the core that would carry the company. I'm not sure he actually knew who and what the Rock and Roll Express truly represented and who they had been and who they were. Obviously he was impressed by bodies and size, just like a lot of people are. But when you look at Ricky and Robert, it was your first thing that you think, if you've never seen them before, is you go, well, God, are those guys big enough to compete? You just saw. Of course they are.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things you got to remember. Now it's WCW. It's not Jim Crockett Promotions. It's a different philosophy ran by a different group of people and with a different thought process. But all you got to do is just watch the rock and roll. And at this point, they were still excellent.
Do you think the leadership of WCW started to have some of that WWF mindset creep in a little bit when it came to the look, the body versus that Southern wrestling we had gotten so used to?
Yeah, I think they're trying to emulate and copy WWF. They just didn't know how. Mm-hmm. They didn't have the proper things in place. For all the positives that it brought, that powerful station that we were on that reached so many people. And, there was an excellent crew of talent there. It was just, but you got to have a general at the top that's making sure that they spread the TV time out amongst the talent, get the right guys pushed. And whoever you have on top at that point, you can't forget about the underneath and the middle guys that you have to be on that same show. Bring it up.
That's
and
right.
Move them up a step every few weeks and let them underneath guy move to the middle and the middle guy get a win that he shouldn't have got, which pops him up to the top spot. All that stuff is part of how you build a wrestling company. And you got to have the right person at the very top making the decisions that understands that.
Yeah, great point. And not only that, too, when you think about it from a marketing perspective, a production perspective, and all the other things that maybe WWF, well, not maybe, they did have the advantage of, and you're trying to, like you said, emulate or, to a degree what the WWF is doing. If you don't have the wrestling piece of it figured out, good luck, buddy, when it comes to how you're going to book people and tell consistent stories, etc. So, well, listen, leading up to Halloween Havoc in Chicago, you and Flair wrestled Doom in either the semi-main event or main event of all the house shows. Almost all these matches ended in a double DQ or double countout, keeping the belts on Doom and keeping both of these respective teams from taking a loss. Arn, do you remember if finishing the matches like this was political, as we've talked about in the past, or was everyone in agreement that this was the best way to tell the story? With Doom, the best team in the world, defeating the Horsemen, would that hurt the Horsemen or would have mattered? As far as, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, here was the thought process, and I agreed with it at the time. There was limited number of pay-per-views, right? Mm-hmm. Clash of Champions with this company. It was much fewer. So if you're going to make the audience really just be hopped up about buying a pay-per-view at those prices, whatever they were, you couldn't be seeing those same participants that were in the top matches getting beat every night. So what's the reason to buy it, on the pay-per-view? But if you kept them almost being satisfied, almost, but not quite, but giving them a 4-star match, then when it got pay-per-view time, they hadn't been satisfied yet. They hadn't got what they wanted. I got to buy that because I haven't seen Doom cleanly beat the Horsemen or the Horsemen cleanly beat Doom, and that's what pay-per-views were designed for at that time.
Listen to this, and this is, I got to give credit to the research guy because he dug this one up. So at one point, Sting or Luger throughout this time period would sub for Butch Reed because his father had fallen ill during this time period. And when that happened, Arn, Sting or Luger, whichever one subbed in, would win the match by pinning you, Double A. So why not end those matches with double DQs or double countouts? Was it because of who they were as performers? Or is that a call from Hurd or Oli? Anything you can, comment as far as some of those changes?
No, whether or not I'm right or not here, but when you have a team like that and you have one of the players have to be substituted for, you never beat the substitute. That's just a rule of thumb that you don't. You make that person that's substituted look like the company made the proper call. And at the end of the day, after Luger and Ron or Sting and Ron had beat us, there was still that question mark. Well, okay, but what about Butch and Ron? How's that going to turn out? There's still a question mark there, and that question mark is what prompts people to want to buy the pay-per-view.
So keep the fans guessing, and that gives you a little bit of a break from the double DQ, if you will, with with bringing in that outside guy getting the pin, and it keeps the fans on their toes to see what happens when the actual Doom is together and takes you on. So okay,
Paul, here's the reality: if getting beat in the right situation with the right guys killed a career, you and I wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation. Yeah. So nobody got beat by more guys, but what people remember from what I get from talking to them is, man, you guys were badasses. You guys were this. And it's all positive comments. They don't go, Jesus, Arn, you got beat 1,100 times out of 1,200. It was about performance, storytelling, ability to do a promo, probably mostly going out and giving them a contest that alone made them happy they bought a ticket. And that's what my career was based on. And I think that's, it wasn't because I was so many times world champion or won so many matches or beat so many guys. It was because everyone knew in the audience that night I gave them everything I had.
Match quality and promos. I think you nailed it right there, Arn, is what your career is known for, without a doubt. Obviously, tag team championships and TV titles, but at the end of the day, people often are going to think about you with your match quality and the promos. I mean, they're just fire, and that's what people love seeing on social media is what you have accomplished in terms of on the mic and what you were able to accomplish. So good stuff. Listen, I want to pause right here because, Arn, we have a brand new group that wants to advertise with us this week, and it's Lucy.co. That's right. Lots of adults choose to use nicotine, but like hitting the spine buster, there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. If you're one of the millions of adults who use nicotine, you know that not all products are the same. And there's one new product that stands above the rest. Lucy Breakers are the only nicotine pouch that gives you a blast of flavor from the first moment to the last. Each pouch contains a capsule that you'll break open to release a rush of flavors that doesn't fade away like those other pouches. You know, the ones that rhyme with thin. They come in so many flavors: mint, berry, citrus, mango, and even espresso. And you don't have to go to the gas station or corner store to get them. Just order online and they'll be shipped straight to your door. Every order gets free shipping. Plus, if you subscribe, you'll save 15% and never run out. So whether you use nicotine while working, creating, or playing, Lucy Breakers are the intelligent choice. And we've got a special deal for those of you that listen to our show. You can get $10 off your first order when you use our promo code ARN, those 3 simple letters, at checkout. And shipping is absolutely free. That's Lucy.co. Promo code ARN to receive $10 off and free shipping. Visit Lucy.co for more details, and we thank Lucy for sponsoring the podcast. And here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. This product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Well, Arn, now for something less badass, even though it was clearly a flop and Sid was waiting in the wings. I can't wait to talk to you about this. WCW continued the angle with the Black Scorpion. And quite frankly, it would be a disservice to our audience not to talk about this silly shit. So here we go. Thankfully, though, we will be done with it 3 shows from now. I promise you that. But in our second clip of the week, let's take a look at what the Black Scorpion had to say alongside the voice of Arn Anderson's wrestling fandom, the Dean, Gordon Solie. Let's check it out, Arn.
Gordon in, please. Gordon, I've hoped that you found your trip to your liking.
Well, I frankly got to say this is the most demeaning thing I've ever gone through.
You
Why all the
frankly
secrecy?
don't have to say anything. I brought you here to deliver a message, but I will grant you some time in which you may ask me some questions.
Well, first of all, why the blindfold?
To keep my identity a secret, you're the only person other than Sting who has been this close to the Black Scorpion.
Well, all right, the question is, and of course it's on everybody's mind, you've made these comments, but you've never said what the real reason behind your wishing to get at Sting.
I don't have to tell you. I don't have to tell anybody. The idea is for Sting to think. I want Sting to be driven mad. I want Sting to look back on his life. Remember, Gordon, Sting and I, at one time, knew each other very well, I might add.
Well, that was in California, if I remember correctly, that you made the statement.
Well, I said California, but ask Sting this. Ask Sting about Tulsa.
Tulsa?
Yes, Tulsa, Gordon. See what he says. Look at his reaction. Maybe he'll remember something.
Well, very frankly, if you don't mind, Scorpion,
I do mind.
Well,
I think our interview is almost over.
Yeah, say what you have to say and let me go, please.
Well, Gordon, consider yourself lucky. You will be able to leave the clutches of the Black Scorpion. Sting won't be quite so lucky. Remember, Sting, while Sid is after your belt, I'm after your soul.
All right, so he's not even after the belt. He's after Sting's soul. Arn, instant reaction to the clip that you just watched.
Well, I guess it was a failed attempt at science fiction. I would suppose, in entertainment, bringing Gordon Solie out there blindfolded, I'm not sure.
That was hilarious. I mean, what in the world?
Yeah, you couldn't take that serious.
I know.
I guess it's just, and hey, Gordon, growing up in Rome, Georgia, watching Georgia Championship Wrestling, he was the voice of wrestling to me.
Yeah.
He was the, it was like what he said had weight and it was legitimate and all those things. And to suddenly having brought out blindfolded, it just kind of, I guess hokey's the word.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And we can Monday morning quarterback this thing all the way out. But do you remember, and I know we've talked about this a little bit, Ole would do the voice and then he'd just start swearing, behind the scenes, like, what am I even doing? But at first it was like he was from Sting's past in California. Now he's from Sting's past and he mentions Tulsa. Obviously Sting had the background in the UWF. Did they have any idea where they were going with this whole thing?
It feels like to me the way I see it, and I watch it lay out every week just like you do.
Yeah.
It just feels like to me they're flying by the seat of their pants.
Yes.
They're trying to give the company, it's like the RoboCop thing and all this other stuff. It's trying to intermingle wrestling with entertainment in some way and make it relevant, to that time period. And it just, again, I don't know. I mean, I go back and watch it just like you do, and to me, it's not my cup of tea, but God knows what pressure he was under from above to, hey, it's like the ding dongs, give me some entertainment out here.
Yeah. It's back to what we were just talking about trying to replicate what's working for WWF with these characters and stuff.
Yeah, and do things that aren't just wrestling.
Yeah, not in your wheelhouse,
That's it. And the thing about it is, if we would have just, WCW would have stayed, and a lot of times, hit and miss, it was just the quality of wrestling match was just better than what they were putting out with the WWF at the time.
Yeah.
Our product, if we would have stuck to the guns.
Stuck to the NWA formula.
And wrestled.
Yes.
Yeah, be an NWA product, upgrade it, any way that you can, but keep it separate. And other than a failed attempt to do WWF-ish stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, WWF light. And if it's funny because you see history repeat itself later on in the late 90s, early 2000s, once the Attitude Era happens, and then they try to hire Vince Russo and become Attitude themselves, and then you see where that takes the company right into bankruptcy. So it's like, why this company never learned by trying to just stand alone and always, hey, let's follow the leader versus let's try to be our own leader. You know what I mean? Ugh.
Yep. Pave your own road, be your own product, be separate, be the alternative.
Well, listen, our first fan question comes this week from the Wrestling Study Podcast and Wrestling Alternate Commentary. Both of these folks and so many others want you to tell a fun or funny story about Ole doing the voice of the Black Scorpion. Anything that you can remember, fun or funny, about Ole and this Black Scorpion voice and all this, or the storyline?
Well, 1 week Ole wasn't there, and we needed a Black Scorpion voice. And let me see when this time frame would have been. God almighty. Get your research guy on this, because this might have even been something that happened later on, much later on with WWE as almost a parody.
Okay.
They had me do the story. We got to find out when that was. A backstage thing with me doing the voice of the Black Scorpion, and cut, you thought it was over, and all of a sudden somebody walked around the corner and caught me right on the tail end of it. It was like one of those spoof things.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So we'll have to find the time frame on that.
Okay.
It's just for Ole to be doing something, his whole thing that he taught me, and his whole niche in the wrestling business was credibility, believability. Everything he did was 100% legitimate, and everything he was doing with the Black Scorpion deal was 100% BS.
Yeah.
And to know him and to know that what he was going through mentally, I'm sure when somebody yelled cut and all this stuff was done, it was just probably driving him insane, because he's a straight shooting, wrestling, competition, fist fight kind of guy. He's not a entertainment guy. So, God, he must have been tore up having to even do this.
No wonder he's a miserable bastard. I mean, can you imagine if he goes to autograph signings and picture takings? They're like, hey, Ole, can you give us a little Black Scorpion? He's probably like, F
oh,
off.
my God, yeah. Knowing him, yes.
I mean, my God, he probably looks back on that and doesn't even want to remember that from what you're saying. No
there were some potholes in it, that's for sure.
While the Black Scorpion storyline was an all-around silly idea, something that everyone needs to take seriously, and that is no laughing matter, is your overall health. One of the most important but often overlooked aspects of living a healthy life is your quality of sleep. Arn and I have talked about it relentlessly on this show. And our listeners can now enjoy better sleep thanks to one of our newest partners, Miracle Brand. Arn, we've talked about it before. Temperature at night can have one of the greatest impacts on our sleep quality. And if you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Brand's bed sheets. They're inspired by silver-infused fabrics made by NASA. Miracle brand makes temperature-regulating bedding so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long, Daddy. I mean, sleep is important, is it not, Arn? We've talked about it over and over on this show.
Yeah, and the situation's changed a little bit. Now it's turned off cold.
Yes.
Extremely cold. So if you're cold in there, you can regulate it up to warmer.
There you go. Very
flexible, like those of us that like a cold room and cold bed to start out with to sleep. There's those that like it warm. So it's that second function is kicking in.
It is, and I'm telling you guys, this is the time to get these sheets. They're self-cooling properties for better quality sleep. I told you that they were developed by NASA. They use silver-infused fabrics. Miracle brand sheets are thermoregulating and designed to keep you at the perfect temperature all night long. Self-cleaning, we talked about that as well. They prevent 99.9% of bacterial growth, so you're not sleeping all nasty all night, night after night. No more gross odors. Man, that just sounds disgusting. And luxurious comfort and quality, so they feel good too, and they make the perfect holiday gift. So listen, whether it's for you, your spouse, friends, family, etc., get you some of these bed sheets right now. And if you get these now, you'll get 3 free towels as well. So 2 gifts in one, just in time for the holidays. So check it out. TryMiracle.com/Arn to try it today. That's the key. TryMiracle.com/Arn. You can try it for yourself, gift it to someone special this holiday season. And like I said, we got a deal for you. Save over 40%. And be sure to use our promo code ARN at checkout to save even more and get those 3 free towels. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. You can't beat it. And if you're not 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. So upgrade your sleep today with Miracle brand. So go to TryMiracle.com/Arn and use that Arn promo code for all those amazing gifts and get 40% off. And we want to thank Miracle brand for sponsoring this episode. Arn, moving back to the story with the Horsemen and Doom, the tag champs found themselves on the wrong end of the Horsemen on the October 7th edition of the main event. In our third clip of the week, buddy, here we go. We had the physicality and the promo to follow. Let's take a look at the action as you respond to Doom. Here we go.
Doom is right here. And any way you want it, Horseman, we are more prepared to take it on anytime, anywhere. Now, we done dusted Arn Anderson off. Now, I'm going to kick a chump, Ric Flair.
Seems to me the problem in today's society is that people just don't remember where they came from. I'm standing here, the greatest talk show host in the world, and if it wasn't for a camera angle, I'd be down on my hands and knees thanking the greatest wrestlers in the history of this sport for appearing on my show. You got a former referee and you got 2 studs that only got a college education because of an athletic scholarship, and they're trying to beat the Horsemen at their own game. These guys, Double A, just don't remember where they came from.
I hate to toot Doom's horn, but toot, toot. You finally grabbed the magnitude of what's going on. You see, it's desperate means by desperate men. You decided one day sitting in that dressing room, you finally needed a gut check. You had to know in here, athletes that are the magnitude of Simmons and Reed can't have Teddy Long tell them how great they are. Can't tell their girlfriend or their mama. They got to know it in here. So they said, we got to have a gut check. We got to jump on the Horseman because that's the only thing left in this sport for us. Well, gentlemen, you're driving a Mercedes-Benz because you're winners. You're the World Tag Team Champions. There's an old adage, you don't stick your head in a window fan to see what's on the other side. Last week, I was by myself. Nature Boy wasn't in the building, neither was Sid, neither was Barry. You seized the opportunity. The only problem is you couldn't make it stick. You want to play our game? You want to double up? When it's 2 on 2, you just remember one thing. Any combination of the Horsemen are better than everybody else.
Holy shit. Arn Anderson at his greatest again. My goodness, Arn, what a promo.
Thank you. What a sweatshirt.
I like the sweatshirt too. But I got to ask you something. If you noticed before we got to that promo, as they enter the ring, Doom, Butch Reed heads for Flair, but you get to tussle with Ron Simmons. How's that work? That looks fair.
Neither one is a good choice, but Ron Simmons, I've said before, is in that elite group, upper 1% of men and athlete. I have never felt so helpless as when Ron Simmons sailed me off the ropes and power slammed me. I felt like a baby. I mean, the whip is at a whole different level. I mean, he's one of those guys that's just, I mean, athletically gifted, never will cover it. I'm just saying he is in that upper 1% in wrestling, power, strength, athleticism. Forget about how good he was at football. Ron and Butch made a great team. And, it's one of those things where Butch probably didn't get his due. Should take a look at the physique on Butch.
Oh, yeah.
Played pro ball, pro football. I mean, Butch, and, hey, you're talking about guts and balls for days. Butch Reed's all man, buddy. So it was, on any scale you probably wanted to put them, they were way up there. And I don't think they got the due that they should have.
I want to talk a little bit more about that promo, by the way, because it was believable. It was intense. For those of you that are in the wrestling business or you're striving to be in the wrestling business, he puts Doom over. He's tooting their accolades, if you will, and then reminding them who it is they're dealing with. And arguably the most quoted talker in the history of the business, the Nature Boy, never even uttered a word. I mean, it was a masterclass for upcoming stars. That's my takeaway. Those are my thoughts. But I just thought the way that you handled that entire promo and interview was just something that a lot of wrestlers could go back and learn from today.
Well, part of the storytelling is, and thank you, part of the storytelling is knowing what you did last week, anticipating what you're going to do today, and predicting what you're going to do next week. That's part of the storytelling process. And the fact was, the reason I did all the talking, and Rick and I didn't even talk about it, is because the week before, I'm the one got my ass kicked.
Yes.
To just shoehorn Rick in there and, part of that promo to entertain, because that's what he was, is an entertainer. If you want to keep it serious, which he knew, and I knew without ever uttering a word to each other, I did the promo. And I think that made it real.
Well, it felt real. And, buddy, speaking of intensity, as we mentioned, you and Nature Boy wrestled Doom a lot during the month of October. On the October 20th Worldwide, it featured the ending of a match with the four of you that took place in the spiritual home of the Horsemen, the Greensboro Coliseum. 3,000 fans were treated to this one, Arn. And while the video says it was October 9th, thanks to our friend Richard Land of the History of WWE.com, we can say the match was actually from October 5th. In any event, let's watch the finish and the interviews that follow. Here we go. October 1990 from Worldwide.
All of this, of course, will climax at the Halloween Havoc pay-per-view on October 27th. Now we're going to hear from both teams, Doom and the Four Horsemen. And I want you to pay particular heed to the intensity of these interviews.
What you people just saw is what happened to Ric Flair and Arn Anderson in Greensboro, North Carolina. They fought all the way back to the dressing room, all over the building. It was uncontrollable. But now next weekend, Halloween Havoc, October 27th, is where it's all going to be settled. You people are going to find out who the real World Tag Team Champions are. You people are going to find out that Ric Flair, Arn Anderson are two has-beens. Halloween Havoc, homie, don't play that. It's all over, Flying Arn.
For as long as I can remember, all across this country we've been addressed as champ. We earned it. Now, it's not a financial matter, it's not a racial matter, it's not personal. What we've done is in Greensboro is we've just turned it up a notch. When I dropped you on your head, Reed, there was no saving you. If it hadn't been for Simmons, it'd have been all over. In 1 week, you meet your destiny. Look at intensity. It's called the Four Horsemen. We control everybody's life. Woo!
How entertaining is Teddy Long? We've talked about it already on this show before, but my goodness, he's just, I mean, he's entertaining. He's not only managing two legit badasses, but I really just enjoyed his promos within the presentation of Doom.
Yeah, Teddy's a pro. You know, he knows what it takes, you know, to pull off an intense promo and do the storytelling. And he's an entertainer, and he's perfect because of his size, where those two monsters make him look even that bigger, much bigger, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, Teddy Long is one of those guys that was perfect fit as their manager.
And here we go, second promo in a row where you're delivering the message, and all Flair does at the end is the old woo and flash the four fingers. So I think it's Arn Anderson's promo school going on right now.
Well, I mean, the last thing Rick needs, you know, to enhance his career is more promo time at this time. Him not talking and letting me do the talking.
Yeah, makes sense.
Again, it just made it real, because the fact that he just stepped back and said, hey, man, run with it. He was established. I was the one that needed the shot in the ass.
There you go.
If that makes sense.
It does, because he dominated so many interviews. I think we were used to that. So for him kind of taking a step back is a little bit of a transition as a fan. But to your point, you're getting a little bit of shine and your comeuppance and coming out. Not that, you know, and that sounds weird, that you're coming out party, because you're well established in my mind as a fan at this point. But it is fun to see that dynamic change a little bit.
I think my style, you know, as we've talked about, the reason it is endured is when I said something, they believed it. If Rick would have shoehorned, you know, himself into the promo, it would have been entertainment, and it would have took the edge off of the seriousness that the rest of us felt, you know, in the angle that we were in.
I think it makes a lot of sense, especially against a team like Doom, where this is a badass fight, right? So you got to have the promos that match that.
You know, don't try to make a joke when you're sticking your head in the window fan. Like I said, you don't do that to see what's on the other side. You just end up getting your head cut off. So, you know.
When's the last time you used that one, Lauren? I know you heard yourself say that in the promo. Had that been a while since you used that one in your normal day-to-day life?
Yes, for sure.
It was good, though, an oldie but a goodies. An Arnism right there.
Makes you think.
Yep. Listen, concerning the match with Doom and the thought of losing the tag titles of the Horsemen, Teddy Long said it best. Homie, don't play that. Teddy was always brash, always entertaining, but most importantly, he was always a confident player. And to our loyal male listeners, there are always things that no man should ever play. That's the loss of confidence in the bedroom, the failure to deliver the 5-star match, and the inability to hit the finish. And thanks to Blue Chew, homie don't ever have to play that again. Isn't that right, Arn?
The thought of Teddy Long with a pocket full of Blue Chew back in the day is a horrifying thought. Oh, my God, that could have been like a national issue.
I love that it popped you, though, just thinking about it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Listen, we're here to tell you about Blue Chew because it can change your life. It really can. It's an online prescription service. You've heard us talk about it week in, week out. Some of you love listening to these ads. Others could do without them. But, man, I'm telling you, whoever your counterpart is in the bedroom, they want you to listen. They want you to purchase it. They want you to subscribe. So we're here to help you. Check it out, BlueChew.com. The process is simple. Consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days, and you'll be walking around with that baseball bat in your shorts in no time. If you don't like swallowing pills, no problems there. Blue Chew's tablets are chewable, just like our Flintstone vitamins were back in the day. There are all kinds of reasons guys aren't able to perform. It could be your age, medical conditions. For older guys, maybe it's stress and anxiety. For the younger guys, lots of pressure. Arn, I'm sure you've heard of performance anxiety. Buddy, it happens all the time, not just in the ring. It happens in the bedroom.
You know, one of the things we never talk about, let's just say your counterpart, your better half, lets you know, hey, I'm in the mood.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you're tired. Maybe you had worked too much. Maybe you didn't sleep enough. It is a go-to fix right there. Instead of bailing and making an excuse, brother, you come to attention and meet the challenge.
It's a cup of coffee for your penis is the best way that I can think of describing it, Arn, you know?
And it's like 5 shots of Carolina Blonde. You know what I'm saying? Espresso, not coffee. The super unleaded.
That's right, buddy. Listen, the chewables from BlueChew.com can make sure you're able to perform at your best every time you get the opportunity to have fun. And here is what you need to know. You can try Blue Chew free when using our promo code ARN at checkout. Don't use anybody else's promo code. Use ARN, okay? Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com. Help out the show. Promo code ARN to receive your first month free. Go to BlueChew.com for more details and safety info. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring our show. Arn, we've made it to Halloween Havoc 1990. Terror rules in the ring. 8,000 fans filled the UIC Pavilion in Chicago, Illinois for this one. And in typical fashion, the Horsemen set the tone for the show as our friend and leader of Slapdick Nation, Tony Schiavone, conducted the stand-up interview with you, Sid, and Rick. This is our 5th clip of the week. Here we go.
Ross Boy dangerously still to come. 4 big title matches. One for the World Tag Team title. The Horsemen going after the gold.
Tony Schiavone, in a short time, 4 men get to enter that ring with no good guy, bad guy scenario. 4 men in front of the entire world get to be all man. No strings attached. The prize, the World Tag Team titles. Doom, don't rethink it. We aren't going to ask anything from you. Just be there. Be all the man you can be. Just remember one thing. If you want to duck out the back door, the life you saved may be your own.
Tonight in Chicago, we will walk the aisle to the World Tag Team Championship, and then we watch Big Sid Vicious take the world title from Sting. Woo! Tell Sid, Sting is Halloween. The trick is to get out alive. And this is your treat, Sid Vicious, the man that rules the world. The Horsemen forever.
All right, let's go back to ringside.
So you're wearing a Crew WCW shirt. Did you notice that? Mm-hmm. And I just hadn't seen you in that many times. So there's that. But that doesn't even take the cake on this promo. No, you got Tony Schiavone dressed as Phantom of the Opera. Yeah, I mean, you know his love for Broadway. What'd you think of his get-up here for Halloween Havoc?
I don't know about those white gloves. That makes me a little nervous. What he was going to do in the course of the night that he felt he needed gloves. If you know Schiavone, that's
Would Tony have gotten picked on back in the day for walking in the dressing room in that outfit for the Halloween Havoc? Would you have ribbed him a little bit, Arn? Come on.
I wouldn't have, but the Steiners would have probably taped him to the ceiling or super glued him to the ceiling or some shenanigans.
I would have loved to see that.
But God, Tony was so good. From day one, he fit into our business perfectly. He's a guy that you believe when he tells a story. He's endearing. He's a baby face. He's all those things you want in an announcer.
And he still does, Arn. I mean, he may not play such a heavy role on commentary like he used to back in the day, but he adds to the show. He adds to the presentation, his personality, and I know he's doing a big time role in AEW now with the talent as well. So I'm happy for him.
He's a gift to the business, at this stage. He's a bridge between then and now, and he has a lot of knowledge, and it's good to get to work with him. Much respect.
Yeah, well said. You lead off the interview, and speaking of bridges, Nate gives us the bridge between your match and the main event, and then Sid hits that go-home line. The match with Doom for the tag titles is third from the top. This one featured some serious physicality, as you can imagine. We're going to hear Paul E. Dangerously and JR on the call for the entirety of this pay-per-view. What a magic duo those two are. This one went nearly 20 minutes, and while we can't watch the whole match, there's no way. We do have the final 4 minutes, so we're going to take a look at it now, how the Horsemen fared against Doom. We've been talking about it all show. Here we go, the final 4 minutes of the match.
Outside of the ring.
It was blocked, and Flair got nailed. It was blocked, and Flair got nailed. His face hit that steel security railing. Now Simmons is trying to wrestle a smart match, come back in the ring. He needs to make the tag. Sunset flip, over he goes. And there's a tag. There's the legal man in the ring. Flair, the legal man.
What an incredible game plan by the Horsemen. They have suckered Doom in since day one. They never realized Flair was so adept to tag team wrestling, and Simmons is fighting a great fight, but he's going against the Horsemen.
Flair missed with that elbow, but Simmons caught him with a clothesline. I don't think he got all of it. He may have got Flair on the jaw with his fist more than the
20 minutes gone by, 20 minutes gone by.
20 minutes gone by in this championship event. The World Tag Team title, the richest tag team wrestling prize in wrestling today, is being decided right here at Halloween Havoc. Oh, what a move there. This sold out, capacity crowd. I mean, they are really, and they're sitting on the edge of their seats in this one, really observing. Look at the fans in the background. They have watched every move intently, closely. Tag made again. And wait a minute, Reed tagged in. Reed in. Nailing Flair and nailing Anderson.
And notice the Horsemen go down on every single punch.
Drop kick by Hacksaw Butch Reed. Glancing blow caught Flair. Sends him for the ride. Good shoulder block by Hacksaw Reed.
But Arn's in the ring.
Arn Anderson kicks Reed, stopping the count. Simmons comes back in with what he's got left. Flair pulling Reed outside. And Flair's head again rammed into the security railing. Anderson tried to get Simmons up for the pile driver. There's Reed on top. Shoulder block by Reed up a top rope. Flair's back in. 1, 2 and a half. Flair broke it up.
Saved by Ric Flair.
Flair up and over for the big right hand by Ron Simmons. What a contest here for the world.
DDT! He got him!
Out of their seats.
He caught him with the DDT!
Again, Simmons interrupted the count. I thought Anderson had Reed. He got his shoulder up. A near fall. We only got 2. All 4 men now, with a referee having a great deal of trouble restraining these 4 athletes. Anderson rolls outside, but Ron Simmons follows him. Flair sends Reed for the ride. Reed catches Flair with a clothesline. Simmons hammering Anderson over here on the security railing.
You wanted Havoc on Halloween? You got it right here.
Flair on the outside, and here comes Reed. And then all 4 men are out there. This is like a back alley brawl. Flair with those chops. Fists by Doom. Chops and fists by the Horsemen. They're going down the aisle. The referee's back in the ring. They've only got a 10 count to get back. They're calling for the bell. Both teams will be counted out.
Ladies and gentlemen, both teams failed to return to the ring by the 10 count. It is a double count out.
So there we go, Arn. It's the pay-per-view and a double count out.
Huh. I would have thought for sure there would have been a clean finish.
Yeah, we would have hoped for sure as fans too. But my goodness, as we watched that was some serious ass whipping going on there. That was a match to me as I'm watching the physicality with Doom and you and Rick. That to me could stand up today in terms of action in and out of the ring.
It was, the one thing I guess. Remembering and critiquing and everything, all those not being social media, all those towns that we did those double count outs.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have been privy to that. You wouldn't have known that. So getting it on this pay-per-view, and I think that was pretty wild double DQ. It was a pretty damn good fight, pretty intense. That would have been the first time you would have seen it.
And not only that, they're going to carry the feud forward. This isn't the end for you guys in Doom. So they're continuing on the rivalry here. We're going to talk about you guys in Doom again next month when we cover November. So that could be prolonging the storyline too. Other thing I wanted to mention was the crowd reaction to your DDT. Did you pick up on that?
I sure know I did.
I mean, come on. They popped.
Well, they believed. They believed that was it. And I tried to take care of it just like, I stole it from Jake Roberts. There's no doubt about that. Jake created it. I stole it. I tried to make it mine and make it impressive and make it credible. And when you had a finish over in those days, you didn't prostitute it. You didn't have it not be the finish. And the reason for what you just saw. When you hit it, the audience thought that was it. And you didn't have somebody kick out of it. There was a save. That's how you protected your finish. One of them. That was one of my finishes.
Arn, we have a couple of questions from our listeners that I want to ask you. First, from Put It in Reverse Terry, he says, we know how much of a beast Ron Simmons is. How was he in the ring? You talked about a little bit about it earlier. Did he use that strength well? Were you a little scared of what he was capable of doing?
Well, you can't be scared and be in this business, but you can damn sure be tentative and aware. And, when you got a guy like that, he makes his presence known, and you get a feeling that you're in there with something just one notch above the rest. And that's what I felt with Ron. Like I said, I felt like a baby in his arms.
Great analogy.
He is incredible, explosive. He's one of the most, if not the most, just explosive guy that I've ever been in the ring with. I was 250 pounds. He handled me like I was a 10-month-old baby.
When's the last time you talked to Ron Simmons or saw him?
Probably 2 or 3 months back at a signing somewhere.
Okay. That's probably another great thing of these signings is getting to catch up with some of these guys that you got to work with for so long.
Yeah, in Indy, I got to talk to Jake. Jake the Snake was there. Scott Steiner was there. Luger was there, and it was Rikishi. Rikishi was there. I had a nice talk with him, and, it's just getting to see the guys from my era and still out here, and the fans are awesome, It just... it's one of those things that's out there that I never got to do because I was working my career pretty much every day, which was a blessing for some company, but I didn't have the opportunity to do this extra stuff, and thank the fans for giving me the career that they did and supporting me all these years. And so thank you.
I see you were so excited and had such a nice wide grin on your face about seeing Rikishi, but I take it that's because you never had to take one of his stink faces. Is that correct, Arn?
Yeah, I dodged that bullet. I was already retired.
That bullet. I love it. That's a bullet, all right, pal. That's a bazooka. Coming at you.
With me, it would have been a finish because I'd have been puking down the aisle all the way into at least a count out.
Oh, man, so good. Yambag Jones wants to know, our buddy, he says, there weren't many times in your career where you were had to work as the much smaller opponent. Did you have to adjust your style at all for working with these two monsters, or was it just business as usual for you, Arn?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you think about some of the monster teams that I worked with, they were right up at the top. You know, you didn't try to match power. And those guys were way more powerful than Rick and I. They just, you look to take an ankle out or kick a knee out or stick your thumb in the eye or do whatever you can do to slow them down. Don't try to out-muscle them. Don't try to out-punch them. Rick, Butch Reed had a hell of a punch too. And just use what God gave you and cheat your ass off.
I heard another wrestler was talking about another wrestler, and he was like, you know what? You were great to work with when you weren't connecting with your punches. And the statement was, sometimes he connected, sometimes he didn't connect, literally on the punch, as far as, shoot punch, hit.
Yeah, light you up. Potato City.
Yeah, baby. So, I mean, as much as we see guys throwing punches, some of them you think, oh, that's all part of the deal. Some of those they're laying them in, brother. And you can imagine being on the receiving end of a Doom, potato job, or a Road Warriors potato job, or a Steiner's. Nobody wants to be on the other end of that. You
got to remember, legend has it, at one time, in college, Ron Simmons was benching around 600 pounds. That's for that time. In that era, that's an elite group, 600-pound bench. He didn't lose much of that. I'm sure, when you start in the business, you cut down on the heavy training and all that because it tightens your body up, which you don't want. But, my God.
Wow, raw power. Speaking of power, friend of the show, Bryant Haremza, he says, which team had more raw power, Doom or the Road Warriors?
God, I guess probably you have to go with the Road Warriors just because, they were both stronger, more powerful than Butch as far as just strength and power. Butch brought that brawler aspect to his team, but, I mean, it's hard to say anybody through the years were more powerful than the Road Warriors. I don't know who it would be.
Well, listen, back in 1990, the Horsemen had to rely on conditioning, training, and rest to ensure that they were in peak conditioning. Sometimes diet, exercise, and rest, though, just aren't enough now these days, Arn. That's why we started using and continue to use AG1 by Athletic Greens. Just one scoop, it gives you 75 high-quality vitamins and minerals. I'm talking improving your gut health, sleeping better, which Arn and I love, and improve focus. What's not to like about this product? It's a slam dunk. Isn't that right, Arn?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you get started. Now I'm at a point where I've been taking for months. And you can just tell. It gets you rolling. You get that familiar feeling that you're getting all the things that you're missing possibly with your diet. How many minerals? 75?
75.
Vitamins and minerals, so that's a bunch. And as you get older, you need extra things in your system to make you feel good. And these guys have figured out the formula.
Yep, it's a 1-2 combination. Athletic Greens is right for you. You get better sleep quality, recovery. It costs less than $3 a day. Can't beat it. It's worth the investment, and it's received 7,000 five-star reviews. Right now, it's the time to reclaim your health as we go into the holidays and you start thinking about that new bod in 2023. Do it. Arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. Just one scoop and a cup of water, as Arn says. That's it. No need for a bunch of horse pills and supplements. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is giving you a free year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/Arn. Again, it's athleticgreens, all one word, .com/Arn to take ownership of your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Arn, we're here. It's the much anticipated main event of the evening featuring Sid challenging Sting for the world title. This match was significant to both men, as we mentioned on social media. It would be the first of many interactions between the franchise and the man who rules the world. This match was Sid's first crack at the world title, and this was Sting's first big-time pay-per-view. Arguably, Sid is one of Sting's most underrated opponents because, like the man who made him, Flair, Sting always seemed to find another gear against Sid. Back and forth, these guys put on a show for the Chicago crowd, and true to the Arn Show form, we have the final clip of the week. It's the finish of this match. Let's check it out together, Arn. From Halloween Havoc, it's clip 7. Here we go.
Why is Sid taking him away from the ring? He needs to fight him back.
He's punishing here, and the referee, Nick Patrick, trying to get them both back in the ring. The fans here do not want to see a count out. They do not want to see a disqualification. They want to see let the better man win. I think that's good officiating on the part of Nick Patrick. Sting is up. The champion is up. Watch the champion up and over. What a move by the champ. Stomping away at Vicious. Standing drop kick. Vicious outside. Vicious outside and Sting up and over. High cross body over the top rope to the floor. Right hand by the champion of the world.
Why is Sid going away from the ring?
Wait a minute, there's a Horseman.
The Horsemen are here.
Sting, don't turn your back on Sid.
Sid, why is Sid leaving the ring area? He can't win the title unless he's in the ring.
What are the Horsemen doing out here? I don't like the looks of this situation. Nick Patrick we need more referees or security or somebody. Get Anderson and Flair out of here. Sting and Sid are fighting down the aisle toward the dressing room area. Wait a minute.
No. Oh, see, Sid brought him back into the ring. Sid got him right back to the ring. Oh.
He's got him up.
He got him. He got 1, 2. He got it. He got him.
What is
it? He got it. He got the belt. Sid got the belt.
What happened?
Sid won the title.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
he won it.
The winner and new World Heavyweight Champion, Sid Vicious.
Wait a minute.
We got a new champion.
Sting went for the slam.
We got a new champion.
I cannot believe the fireworks are going off. There's Sting right there. He's got a rope tied around him. That wasn't Sting in the ring.
Yes, it was.
It looked like Barry Windham or somebody.
The celebrations already started. Sid's the champion.
Sting just nailed Sid Vicious. This thing's not over. That wasn't Sting.
That was Sting.
He caught him in the Stinger Splash. He got him rolled up. And then Stinger beat Sid Vicious. Sting has pinned Sid Vicious. He retains the title.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the winner and still World Heavyweight Champion, Sting.
I mean, that's just all kinds of confusion there at the end of that one. So that was Barry Windham, by the way.
Well, yeah, but I don't know if I'd have let the cat out of the bag then.
I know, JR gave it away.
Oh, which is...
Yeah. Yeah, it was Barry playing the role of the imposter Sting. He'd been off TV for a while at this point, so that worked as a nice element, but I'm not sure we should have given it away that fast. It's a dusty finish, for lack of a better way to say it. But I don't understand how Nick Patrick just automatically starts counting again. There was no communication with him, it looked like.
Yeah, that's one of those that, but in theory, was a good idea.
Execution.
In practice, not so much.
Well, what we don't see in this one is that the show ended with a promo from the Stinger conducted by good old JR. Sting put Sid over, referenced the dastardly Horsemen. Yes, you're one of them. And then unfortunately addressed the Black Scorpion. Dear God, we can't get away from him. Thankfully, come Starrcade 1990, that angle's going to end. We're almost through that. And speaking of that storyline, let's get into some questions. Casey wants to know, since Barry did the imposter Sting, was it seriously considered for him to be the Black Scorpion, or was it always going to be Flair? So that does lend itself open to thinking, could they have shifted that storyline into making Barry the Black Scorpion? Was that ever a thought?
I don't know. Could have been.
Yeah, no clue. what's going on. I don't think they have a clue what's going on at this point.
I think it's week to week and see who buys what and who has an idea or whatever. But maybe.
Arn, do you agree that ending of the way that all went down, that couldn't happen in today's world, just the way it all played out there?
Yeah, I mean, it just too much creative liberty. If the referee doesn't have control in any perspective of a match, then it just becomes pitch up and smear.
I get what they're trying to do as far as have Sting tied up and send someone down, looks like him, and have him take the pin. Okay, I get all that. But what I don't get is the visual of how does Nick Patrick restart a match that he just counted the 3-pin and gave the title to Sid? I don't see any communication with him. I don't see anything like that transpire.
No explanation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's very strange.
You got me, buddy. It was a sign of the times.
Yeah, and these are all, as we watch this together, Arn, and watch your career, we're also watching WCW unfold as a company with these storylines, and I think it really does kind of rip off the Band-Aid, so you get to kind of analyze it from our chairs now, right? We talk about from doing it a quarterback, Monday morning quarterback, but you kind of do get to go back and see the missteps along the way that kind of got you there.
A lot of mistakes.
Yeah. Well, hey, we're going to end the show with some questions from our fans. So let's do some rapid fire ones, and then we're going to wrap up. Our fans love the Young Pistols, Steve Armstrong and Tracy Smothers. RJ wants to know if you remember any talk about a substantial push for the Wild-Eyed Southern Boys.
I don't think so. I think they were a middle team. Good talent. Got nothing to do with that. But in those days, you were kind of put in certain spots. There was underneath guys who were just getting started that you needed. There were middle guys that could work with your top guys or your underneath guys, and I think that's where Stevie and his partner they fit in that middle.
Yeah, Tracy Smothers. Yeah,
Tracy Smothers. Tremendous talents, both of them. There wasn't an Armstrong ever born that couldn't work, and he was one of them. It was just, but I never heard anything about a major push with that company. Now, I know they were used in different territories around the country and used well. So they certainly had the talent.
This outfit here at WCW didn't even really know how to use rock and rolls at this point, as we outlined earlier in the show. So can't be too surprised. Dylan Apple follows up with the same thing. How underrated do you think Smothers and Armstrong were? So
quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
friend of the show, Drew Landry, he's back, and he has a couple questions. First, Drew wants to know why Woman was no longer part of the Horsemen presentation at this point in time.
Oh, God. Drew, I'm sorry. I wished I could tell you. Don't know.
For whatever reason, she had just kind of taken a step back at this point, and we're not really sure why, but she just isn't kind of featured at this point anymore.
Maybe just decided that things were, she wasn't figured in prominently, so maybe it's a good time to go home for a while.
He also asked, he says the Horsemen moved on from the dudes with attitudes and into this program with Doom. Did this make sense to you, or was this a refreshing change in your perspective?
Being with Doom?
Yeah. Instead of that dudes with attitudes, which was kind of going on for a little while there.
Well, again, it was trying to use star power, and JYD had a huge career, so had Paul Orndorff, and those guys. It was more relying on their star power because we could make a match work. With Doom, it was a definite coin toss. That was one of those who went, that's interesting. See how they go with this one. Who's going to win this one? It was like a big question mark, and there wasn't a lot of that in those days. It was pretty definitive. You could pick winners and losers beforehand just by the way they were used or where they were in their career or on the backside of their career or maybe too young, too green, whatever the alternatives were.
Scott Golden asked, do you know whose idea it was to have Doom under the masks in the first place? And also, do you know why the company put Doom under them?
No, did they lose some match that they were supposed to leave or something? Lose or leave, and now
I got to go back and figure out how the whole the mask came off again, because I can't recall off the top of my head how their mask ended up coming off. But I liked them when they were under the mask. I actually preferred it.
Really?
I did. I just like the fact that because you can do some different things when you don't know who's in the ring, who's out of the ring. I kind of like that element of Doom.
You think they looked close enough?
I think they could get away with it, especially the way these referees were, as they were portraying some of the refs at this point.
Wow. Maybe.
I mean, we just had Nick Patrick restart a match after he just finished a match without any communications.
Well, and you know that's on Herd, not Nick.
That's true. You're right. You're right. Brad Stanton wants to know if you think the company should have kept the mask on Doom longer. See, there's a lot of mask questions. Did the mask make Doom more intimidating? That's a good question.
Next show or next couple shows from now, we'll have our research guy find out the circumstances of why they had masks on
and why they ripped them off.
Why they took them off.
But do you think, to his point, they were more intimidating with the mask, or you don't think it mattered?
I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I really don't. They look pretty damn intimidating, just
the way they were. Yeah. Pastor Tim writes in, as a kid, I was introduced to the Freebirds as only P.S. Hayes and Jimmy Jam Garvin, and bought into their match against the Renegade Warriors at Halloween Havoc 1990. I later discovered the Freebirds as a trio with Gordy and Roberts. What are your thoughts about the Freebirds as a trio with Gordy and Roberts? What are your thoughts about the Freebirds as a duo versus a trio? And more specifically, how do you feel Jimmy Jam was as a Freebird? So what did you think about that original concept? Do you like him as the original three or this Garvin, P.S. Hayes duo?
No disrespect to Jimmy Garvin, who was excellent performer, and when he had that head full of dark hair and he was with Patty and they were in a unit, they were excellent. You can't compare them to the Freebirds, the three pack,
the originals.
They were red hot. They each had a function. Michael did most of the talking. The other guys did most of the working, and it just worked and it clicked, and they had continuity. It was just, they were a good unit, and I don't think you could compare the two.
This is cool because we have a lot of Doom questions. Terrell Lewis wants to know, on a scale of a night off with the Hart Foundation to the brutality of the Road Warriors, where do you rank working with Doom?
Well, I don't know that working with Brett and Neidhart was a night off. Jim Neidhart was...
Oh, yeah, he beat the shit out of you.
Oh, my God. That's like running into a brick wall. Now, Brett was an artiste. You know, he was a Ricky Steamboat, Brad Armstrong-ish, smooth as silk. You know, excellent in every way. Jim Neidhart would just step through the ropes and run you over. So he fit in that group. Road Warriors would jar you around, pick you up, press slam you, bounce you around. Doom it was like being in a street fight that you just were overmatched, to be honest with you.
So it sounds like they definitely lean more towards the way of the Road Warriors, physicality-wise.
Yeah, I mean, they were, my God, they were beasts.
Sammy Pajama asks, did you ever tell Ron Simmons he was doing the spine buster incorrectly?
I never told Ron Simmons anything. I might have asked him something.
Yeah.
I didn't tell him anything. I don't.
Hey, Ron, can I talk to you about the way you're doing that spine buster?
Yeah. Hey, man, that was,
That was the drizzling shits.
Yeah, you don't get it. I'm sure he could have made a believer out of me with his version.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah. And it was different enough that it would never be, mistaken for mine. And his was, a lot of impact.
It made a lot of people feel like he was picking up a lot of babies and throwing them down.
Yes.
Devin Dowling writes in, Mr. Anderson, you and Ric Flair were challenging for the tag team titles. Why didn't you wear matching gear?
Wow. Because I probably wouldn't look right in a robe.
Ah, that's great. Yes, because Nature wasn't wearing a bomber, okay? Let me just tell you that right now. And Arn wasn't wearing a robe, so there you go. Enough said.
Yeah.
That was good. Greg asks, was it challenging being a heel versus heel program? I've seen this question come up a few times on social. We talked about this. You did this with the Midnight Express for a little bit before you left to WWF. What did you think? Was it a challenge doing heel versus heel?
It would have been if it was not top flight, top shelf talent, because then it was not good guy, bad guy. They had their fans, we had our fans, and it would just kind of flow. You know what I mean? But if you had a heel team that was not a top shelf against another heel team that was not a top shelf team, it would be like, who cares? I don't have anybody to pull for. You guys kill yourself. Who cares?
Well, Wrestling Life wants to know if you think Doom could have made a huge impact in the 90s if they didn't break up in 1991.
Of course they could have. They were a good team, and Teddy was the third piece, and everything flowed. And I think they saw something in Ron Simmons special, and they were going to make him a single and give him the proper push that he probably deserved. I know he deserved it.
Oh, absolutely. And he got it. Final question for this week. Gavin asked, how was Rick as a tag team partner? This match and Rick and Barry against the Midnights are a couple of the best of that era. Is there a big difference in working a tag match with someone who's primarily been a singles main eventer for so long?
Yeah, Rick was kind of a unique situation because he's Ric Flair. People were going to buy whatever he did, and if it didn't fit in the continuity of me tagging him in, whatever was going on in the ring at that time, normally you would tag a guy in, he would come in and continue what you had going. Rick could come in and completely restart the match, and no one was pissed about it. It was one of those rare situations. But he didn't work, quote, like a tag team guy. He had his own gig. He had his own set of moves that people wanted to see, and it didn't matter what I had done prior to that. Rick did Rick.
Well, Arn, you just did Arn for the last little bit here and kind of going over this entire month, October 1990. This is going to wrap us up for this week's episode. What a month October turned out to be for the Horsemen. Next week, we're going to celebrate Thanksgiving weekend in the most appropriate way possible for the show. It's our holiday special, Ask Arn Anything. We put the posts out on our socials, and the response has been extraordinary. Our loyal fans want to sit under your learning tree, my friend, and we know that interacting with your fans is one of your favorite things to do, buddy. I know I'm really looking forward to this one because we're going to bounce from topic to topic. Are you looking forward to Ask Arn Anything on Thanksgiving weekend?
Of course. It's all about the fans. If you got something you've been wanting to ask, I'll do my best to answer it.
There we go. On behalf of the founder of the Four Horsemen, the man who stared down doom and came out on the other side, he's Arn Anderson. You can find him at arncomic.com. I'm Paul Bromwell, and you have been listening to Arn